Ever wondered how to have a strong presence on camera? Sounding confident and natural isn't easy. But after years as a commercial talk show host, voiceover actor, as well as directing talent on nearly a daily basis, I've got a whole bunch of tips here that will help you out if you watch until the end of the video. So let's get in. This, you would think, is an obvious one, but so many people miss out on this. And what I'm talking about here is they're not looking directly into the lens. But it's not just that where their eyes are darting over there and they're looking at the screen and they're talking to the screen or something. Yeah, and you got to think of the lens as your friend. I know this is really cheesy, or if you don't want to think of the lens as your friend, just think about it's a person behind the camera is standing there. And as you're talking, delivering to that person, they're nodding their head. That will hugely help you stop your eyes going over there and completely losing presence on camera and your audience. Well, what audience? Because they're gone. But you stayed for the next tip. This one might seem a little bit airy-fairy, but it really helps you develop who you're actually talking to and how to keep that presence. You got to envision who you're talking to. And the easiest example I can give you is if you're explaining something to somebody. You will give a different variation of that depending on who you're talking to. So let's say you're talking to a grandparent or an elderly person about, I don't know, Fortnite. Chances are you probably say, oh, it's a big online game with loads of people from all over the world playing on a big map. You would really keep it simple because you're talking to an older person. But if you're talking to a younger person, you could be like on about building and power-ups and all that other Fortnite stuff. So you got to really think about who you are talking to, and then you're going to adjust your spiel accordingly. And it makes it super relatable and super engaging. These tips are building on each other. So how would you use those so far in your next video? And the next one is super subtle, but it makes the biggest of differences. When you're talking to a camera or a microphone, you can't just start talking to a camera or a microphone. Now, if you're watching me for a bit, you probably know that my head is kind of moving. I'm a little bit more energetic. My level of voice is a little bit higher. I'm a bit more like, not slouched in the chair. But what I do is give your head a little bit of a shake, wake yourself up. Just be ready to go, get the energy up, because whether you like it or not, people who are watching you, even if it's just one person, they think, not in a bad way, that you're just kind of up here. So you gotta present that. You gotta bring that to the actual final video. Just give yourself a shake, loosen up the elbows, maybe just a blah, 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 blah. Get your voice going. Anything to get the energy going. Most important thing here with this though is have record pressed. So not only do you get amazing bloopers, but when you start going, you're already blah, 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 blah. And now welcome to the next up. I'm going to give you a couple of words and a couple of tips that will stop your delivery falling absolutely flat. Whether you like it or not, winging it can work sometimes, but for the best part, you are going to have some bullet points, or you are going to have some kind of a script to get you from A to B to Z and out of the video. What I would always suggest doing is there's certain words that you should always highlight. Now, if you've been just paying attention to this clip, you'll notice there's certain words have got a little bit more emphasis than others. And the words that you should emphasize, always highlight them or have a little underline or whatever. And the big one that you should always emphasize is the words you. Now, this might sound hairy-fairy, but years ago I did a course with the BBC because when I was on the talk show circuit, they said, well, you have to learn how to talk. And I'm like, but I know how to talk. Turns out I didn't. The BBC did help though, and that was one of the big takeaways that they delivered was highlight specific words. So not only does it give you good pacing, but it also makes you more relatable to whoever is watching. So that's why you're always going up and down and never just going flat. Body language can make or break your on-screen presence. See, I'm kind of slouched back here. Foot is up. Where possible, stand, or if you do have to sit for whatever reason, then just make sure your posture is up. You're like this, you're up. Shoulders are up, out. You're not just like... It's such a simple thing, but people pick up on these kind of lazy... Yeah, whatever. You might feel comfortable, but the person watching it is going, this guy, look at the lens, this guy is just... Nah, he just doesn't care. So posture is super important. If you stand at all, wherever you can get an opportunity to stand, you're going to project your energy a little bit more. Generally, as a rule of thumb, standing is best. Not necessarily works in every single video, but if you stand, I stand on the radio show all the time for over 10 years because you just were able to get a little bit more animated. You're able to get just stuff out there. For this video, I'm sitting. You do you, but just remember, none of this slouching. This tip is all about projection. Now, these are big words. They sound airy-fairy, wishy-washy, but it's the thing that you have to do if you want to have a better on-screen presence. And it's also going to help your vocal delivery. Thing is, if we're all kind of talking at a normal level, like you're probably having a conversation with your whoever, just a friend, you're just going to be talking at this kind of low level. Now, the thing is, you've got to project. What does project mean? It doesn't mean that you're shouting, but what it does mean is that you are talking a little bit louder than you usually would. I would think, you got to, again, it's about envisioning. The person that you're talking to is probably 3 or 4 feet behind the camera, maybe a little bit more. So if this is your normal level, then the next level up is where you should really be talking. This is a hard one to do 100%. The more you do it though, the better you get at it. And not everybody is comfortable. Some people are naturally quite quiet and they will talk at a really low pitch and a really low tone. They're very difficult to hear. And a lot of those folks, fortunately or unfortunately, they don't do well on camera. So you do have to project. You don't shout, you just raise it up a notch. The next one is a small mental trick that can absolutely make a huge difference to your delivery and your on-screen presence. Recently, and this works as well, by the way, if you're shooting somebody else. Recently, I was directing somebody in a video and they struggled with their lines. They struggled with the script and there was a lot of going back and forth. And the one thing that I started to do was, while I was behind the camera, I was like, just nodding, just giving those facial expressions, which in turn was making them more confident because they were like, okay, he's nodding, I must be doing something right, I must be good, all of that. If you're directing somebody, if you're behind the camera, just have the occasional nod. You don't have to be like, but the thing is, if it's just you and nobody else behind the camera, that's okay too, but just envision the person that you're talking to that we spoke about earlier on, just envision they're talking, they're nodding, they're like, yeah, this guy's got it. That's what you got to envision. This might make you feel like an absolute lunatic, right? If you're doing all of this visualization stuff, but trust me, the final product that you deliver on video will be so much better. And speaking of better, wait till you hear the next tip. Stick around for this. This is a biggie. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay. Sometimes leaving in the occasional screw up or blooper is good because it makes, like, nobody is perfect, right? So it makes you a little bit more relatable. Now, if you have 5 minutes of you looking at your phone, what did I say, where am I? It gets really boring. But the occasional one, and what it does is that actually makes your video a little bit more disruptive. So not only does it show that you're natural and relatable and that you screw up like everybody else, but it's something that most folks wouldn't expect. And then when they get it, like, yeah, hang on. Anyway, you get my point, right? With all of these tips, the one thing that I'm asking you to do, besides liking and subscribing, so other folks who want to get better on camera and deliver their lines a little bit better will see this video and that will help them out hugely. Thank you very much. You got to record. Don't just record this and try all of these tips in one go and then put up in a YouTube video and you're like, oh, that looks awful. Try them bit by bit. Just pick one and get better at that. I know it's a cliche and it's a little bit cheesy, but that's how you do it. And just keep doing these. Some are harder than others, but start doing them and just record. Put the video unlisted, maybe look at it on a big screen TV, on your phone, wherever. Don't show it to anybody until you go, oh yeah, that makes me look like the people I like to watch. And then that's a huge win for your content. What would be a win for my content is if you like and subscribe and share that out and check out this video here as well. I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. And yes, finally, I'm back. That was cheesy. Look at the lens.